Hello, 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 everyone. This is Sherry Jones of Sherry Speaks Life, your Speak Life midwife. And I'm so excited to be here with you all this evening for the Speak Life Moment Show. I hope that you all are doing well today. I hope that you are blessed on this Monday. This is actually the last Monday in February 2021. Has the time not flown by? It has truly, truly flown by for me. And so today we are actually wrapping up our series on love. February was Love Month. And so we took the time here on the Speak Life Moment show to talk about the different types of love. So, week one, we talked about agape love, that divine love from God. Day two, we talked about brotherly love. Week two, we talked about brotherly love. And then last week, we talked about that family love, that love that we have from our families. And so tonight, we're talking about romantic love. Oh, I know y'all love that. And I know y'all are ready and anxious to talk about that romantic love. I see on Facebook we have David Longino Wilson on. Thank you so much for hopping on, cuz I am right now streaming live on Pop Gospel Speaks Radio, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Periscope. So we are everywhere, y'all. And I appreciate all of you all for tuning in. On Instagram, we have Nitsi on. Thank you so much, Nitsi, for hopping on. And so, as I said, today we are talking about romantic love. Romantic love. And the topic actually is how speaking life saved my marriage. Yep, I'm digging deep. I'm getting personal and transparent with you all this evening. And I am going to share with you how the importance of speaking life saved my marriage when we were at a point where we just were not communicating. We were operating more like roommates than a married couple, but implementing speaking life really, really saved our marriage. Hi, Barbie. I see that you're on. Yes, you made it, sis. Thank you so much for hopping on. And so let's go ahead and hop into our points. So, as I said, um, the period of time that I'm talking about was around our 6 year of marriage, and we just were not agreeing on just about anything. And we were just operating, as I said, like roommates, barely speaking, um, just going through the motions. There was no love, no passion. I'm not gonna say there was no love. The love was always there. But there was no passion, there was no flirting, there was no, hey, how you doing? There was not even, how was your day at work? I mean, it was just crickets most of the time because we were just in a bad position. We were just couldn't agree on anything and just were not getting along. Nancy says she switched from Instagram. Okay, that's fine, Nancy. Thank you. Barbie says, amen, sis. Me too. I can feel you on that one. Yes. Yes. It is rough, y'all. It is rough, rough, rough when you are in that position in your marriage. And so the first thing that came to my mind when I was going through that period, and one thing that I want to talk to you all about is taking it to the word, James 1 and 19. James 1 and 19 says, know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. Again, that's James, the first chapter, the 19th verse, and that's the English Standard Version. So, that's easier said than done, right? For most of us, that's really easier said than done. We are to be quick to hear. So that means we're supposed to listen to our significant other. And usually, our significant other, our romantic partner, is the hardest person for us to hear. We can hear our family members, we can hear our friends when they're talking. We're just open. Our ears are open. But when it comes to our romantic partners, it's a little harder to hear them. I think because we have different expectations of them, we have different expectations of the relationship, and we expect that they should know us so well that they should know the right things to do and the right things to say. And when they're not doing right and they're not doing what we want them to do, then we don't want to hear it. We just shut it down. I know the ladies can relate. I'm sure the men can too. Sometimes you shut your wife down too when she just not doing what you want her to do. So we don't want to hear. Instead, we want to speak. We want to express what we have to say. And we want to share our thoughts on the matter. And we want to tell them why they're wrong and what they're doing wrong and how they need to fix it. So we're not being slow to speak. And that was me. I, believe it or not, can be slick at the mouth. Those people that really know me know that I can be like that. Like, I come here before you all. I'm Sherry Speaks Life. I speak positivity, and I really do. And I love you all. But there was a time in my life where I did not always speak positivity. I would say something smart in a heartbeat and did not care. And so that's where we were in that relationship. My husband would do something, make me mad, and I would just say something smart. I was just being totally just disrespectful and rude. I really, really was. And he's the type of person that he would just shut you down. So he was shutting me down because I was being rude and we just weren't getting anywhere. So then the verse tells us that we're to be slow to anger. That's a hard one. How many people are slow to anger? I can't say that now. Sometimes it takes a lot. And my friends will tell you, sometimes it takes a lot for me to get there. It takes a lot for me to be angry because I do try to look at things from the benefit of the doubt. I do try to look at all perspectives on things. So I, don't get angry as easily. But it was a period in my life where that was not the case. I was quick to get angry. So here we go. I was doing everything the opposite of this verse. I was not listening, so I was not quick to hear. I was not slow to speak because I was saying whatever was on my mind. And I was not slow to anger because anything that made me angry, I was popping off. So that is not how you want your relationships to be. It really is not. I see on Instagram, I have the creative lady Faye joining me. Thank you so much for joining. And so we, in all of our relationships, okay, but particularly in our romantic relationships, when we're in that close relationship with someone, we're married, we're engaged, or we're dating long term, and we're really being committed to someone, we want to make sure that we implement what this verse is telling us. Be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. But as I said, I was doing the exact opposite. Okay. Hey, Monica, I see you on Facebook. Thank you so much for hopping on. So that's just giving you a little background on where my husband and I were in our relationship. I was doing all the opposite of what the verse is telling me not to do. Okay. And he was just not feeling it. Okay. So the next point that I want to make is that lack of communication is destructive communication. And that's where we were. Destructive communication, because there was no communication going on. Lack of communication. And a lot of times with our significant others, when we're in those romantic relationships, that's how we get back at the person. If we're mad at them, we just say, forget it. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to communicate with you. And you walk around dazed, mad, angry, stomping, huffing and puffing all through the house because you just think that's the punishment to have lack of communication. But when we do that, we're being destructive, y'all, and we're destroying our relationships because communication is so important, and how we speak to our significant other is so important. So, we're here talking about speaking life. So, every day you have a choice to speak life or to speak death to yourself and to your significant other. So, when you wake up in the morning and you decide, well, I'm just not going to communicate at all, you are choosing to speak death, believe it or not. Not speaking is speaking death because you're not expressing yourself. You're not expressing how you feel about the situation. You're not having constructive communication with them so that you can resolve whatever the issue is. Instead, you're building a wedge and a wall between you and your significant other by not communicating. Okay. So we want to make sure that we don't get in that rut, in that position of lack of communication being destructive communication. We don't want to do that, y'all. So no matter how angry or how upset or whatever is going on with you and your significant other, you want to keep the lines of communication open because that is what's going to keep your relationship alive. So as I was stating in my example, my husband and I, we were on the destructive path because we had that lack of communication. We were not communicating. Again, as I said, we were operating like roommates, barely speaking, only speaking really when we had to. If it had something to do with our child, our son, or if it had something to do with paying some bills, or something like that, then we were talking because we didn't have a choice. But just that everyday communication and checking in on each other, we were not doing that. We were not doing that. Okay. So we want to make sure that we don't do that. Okay. And if you all have any comments on that, if you've ever been in that type of relationship where it was lack of communication and you were on that path of destruction, then let us know. But that's where we were. Destructive communication. Okay. And we do not want to be like that, y'all. We do not want to be like that. So then I had to learn some new strategies when communicating with my husband. Again, going back to James 1:19, being slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to anger. So what I discovered I had to do with my relationship with my husband is I had to take a break, pray, and then reconnect. Okay. Now, and as you're watching, if this is speaking to you, those of you that are on social media, if this is speaking to you, please share this broadcast so more people can join this conversation. But that's what I had to do. I had to take a break, pray, and then reconnect. Because when I was in the midst of anger and I was popping off at the mouth and I was being all disrespectful and I was just running amok, it was just not a good situation. And then my husband was shutting down. He wasn't talking. So then we still had that lack of communication. So we were just messed up all around. But on my part, I had to determine what I was going to do and how I was going to change things for me. Because I didn't have any control over him. Okay. And that's one thing we have to know in our romantic relationships as well. We do not have any control over our significant other. We can make suggestions of things that we want them to do differently, but only they can change. So I couldn't change him, but I could change me. And so when I say take a break, when I got angry, I had to learn to bridle my tongue. That means shut it down and not say anything. Just shut it down while I'm angry and just walk away. So I had to say, okay, babe, I'm just going to take a break. Okay, I wouldn't just walk away from him. Now that's rude as well. Like if someone's in the middle of talking and you just turn your back to them and walk away, we're not wanting to do that because that's going to start a whole nother argument. Okay, but you want to just let your partner know, hey babe, okay, I'm upset right now. I'm going to take a break. So then I took a break. I would go and I would pray. I'm on the real. I would pray and I would say, Lord, help me communicate what I'm feeling to my husband in the right way so that he can receive it and that we can have a conversation about it. Okay. So then once I prayed that prayer, I took the time to calm down. Then I could reconnect with him and communicate with a level head and communicate in a way that was beneficial to both of us because we were able to get our feelings out in the right way. That's what we have to do. Monica says, amen, breaks are good for everyone. Exactly. We all have to take breaks. There's nothing wrong with taking a break and walking away from your significant other for a moment, just for a beat, just to take that time, just to take that breather. Because when you don't take those breaks and you keep talking while you're angry, you're going to say something that you regret. I'm telling you, and I've done it. But I can guarantee you're going to say something that you regret. And one thing about it is once that word is out of your mouth, you cannot take it back. And the person that's receiving those words they're going to be hurt by what you're saying. And then the perception is going to be, oh, you've been wanting to say that for a while. You've been feeling that for a while. And that may be the case. Maybe you've been feeling angry with your significant other for a while. Maybe you've been feeling like they just get on your nerves and you can't stand them and you just wish they would do better and they're not doing what they're supposed to do in your eyes. Yeah, maybe you've been feeling that way, but it's not going to be constructive for you to say it that way and for you to just pop off at the mouth and just say, you know what, I can't stand you. You make me sick. Once it's out your mouth, you can't change it. You can't change it. Evangelist Millie said, my mom taught us if we can't say the right thing, don't say anything in anger. That is right. Don't say anything in anger. Nancy says, right. Monica says, words really do hurt. And Millie says, so true. That is true. That is so true. Words do hurt. And once it comes out your mouth, you can't take it back. Okay. So take that break, pray. Say, Lord, guide what I'm about to say. Help me to choose the right words to express what I'm feeling. Then you reconnect with your spouse. After you've had time to calm down and they've had time to calm down, then you sit down and you say, okay, this is how what you did made me feel, or this is how I felt about this particular situation. Don't do finger pointing. You did this and you did that and you made this and you made that. No, just express how you felt about the situation. This is how this made me feel. And I don't want to feel that way. And so what can we do about it? What can we do to make our communication better? And so that's what you have to do. Take a break, pray, reconnect. Okay. And so that's a strategy that I used. And once I used that strategy, I was able to have much better conversations with my husband. We were able to actually talk through things that would result in an argument. We were able to disagree, but still do so respectfully, because we don't always agree to this day. And no relationship, no people in relationship, particularly romantic relationship, marriage or anything, no two people agree all the time. So you are going to disagree with your significant other. Okay, so don't have rose-colored glasses on thinking you're going to be in this great relationship and you're never going to have a disagreement, because that's just lies. Lies they tell. Okay, so you are going to have disagreements, but You're going to be able to have constructive disagreements if you're able to implement this. Okay. So that's what we're going to do with that. Then my fourth point is that you need to understand each other's love language. There is a book called The Five Love Languages. I cannot remember right now the man that wrote it, but it's a very popular book. And when you read that book, my husband and I read the book and we took the quiz. There's a quiz inside the book, and it helps you to understand your love languages and your spouse's love language or your significant other's love language. And when you understand each other's love language, you can speak life to each other through that love language. And when my husband and I took the quiz, what we learned is we had the same love language, which was words of affirmation. But neither one of us was giving the other the love language. I wanted words of affirmation. He wanted words of affirmation. I wasn't giving it. He wasn't giving it. But that quiz was so eye-opening. So I recommend any couple, even before you get married, to take that quiz so that you can understand each other's love language, even if it's just a dating relationship. It's so important to know each other's love language. Millie said, I've learned to take a deep breath in, then out before speaking in those heated times. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have to take that deep breath in and out before you speak. Then Monica says, knowing your love language is very important. That is so true. Yes, exactly, Monica. Knowing your love language is so important. Okay. So even if you're single and you're not dating anyone right now, as Monica said, knowing your love language is important. So I would still recommend get that book and find out what your love language is. And that way you can communicate that with your significant other. When you do get in a relationship, you can let that person know, hey, my love language is gifts. I like to receive gifts. That's how I know that, that's how I like to receive love, or I like quality time. I want you to spend time with me, or I want words of affirmation. I want to hear how you feel. Those are some of the love languages. And once you know those love languages and you can identify those love languages, then you can set yourself up for a productive relationship. And so that's what my husband and I did. We took that quiz, and once we realized that words of affirmations was each other's love language, then we became intentional. That's the thing about it. You have to be intentional. We became intentional about expressing those words of affirmation to each other. And that truly helped our relationship. And then my husband, he committed to no longer shutting down. Instead, when he gets angry, he'll take a break too. We take a break and then we come back together and we reconnect and we're able to talk. Because as I said before, lack of communication is still destructive communication. So him shutting down and not talking was not helping our situation either, because then I was not able to fully understand how he felt. And then he wasn't fully able to understand how I felt because he was no longer listening. Okay. So that's one of the things. Monica says you never know. I know, right? Yeah, I know. Learn your love language so you can be prepared for that man that's coming into your life. In your case, Monica. Millie says my pastor does a workshop on that, but don't need it at this time. Okay, Millie, that's what you say. We'll see. We'll see. But you can still just learn your own love language, and you can even implement that in your friend relationships, even if not your romantic relationships, Millie. But you never know. It's never too late for love, ma'am. Never too late for love. Okay. And then my last point that I want to share with you all, as we prepare to looking at my time, wrap it up here. You must commit to not having heavy conversation and making rash decisions when angry. That is a big one. When you are angry with your significant other, That is not the time to go and make a big decision. That's not the time to go and buy a car or buy a house or, um, you know, make a decision when it comes to your children or make a decision when it comes to finances or a job or anything like that. That's not the time to do it because you're going to do it out of anger. You're going to do it out of spite. You're going to do it out of, well, I'm going to show him or I'm going to show her. They can't tell me what to do. They can't do this to me. And you end up making crazy decisions and doing stuff that you don't need to do. So, and then those heavy conversations, if you need to have a really deep conversation with your spouse about something, don't do it when you're angry because it is not going to be a constructive conversation. It's probably going to end up in an argument, and then you're not really going to be able to fully take the time to meditate on whatever it is that you have to talk about and make a good decision on it. Okay. So that's the other thing. My husband and I, we do not talk when we're angry. We do not make decisions when we're angry. When we know that we have to have those heavy conversations, we do it at a time that we know that each one of us is in a good headspace. Each one of us is in a place where we're not busy and we can actually listen and we can focus and we can pay attention to each other and we can really talk through our problems or our concerns or issues. And so that's really what you want to do. So do not have a heavy conversation or make a rash decision when you are angry. Okay. Millie said that may make things worse. Right. Yeah. It never works. It makes things worse. When you're trying to make those decisions in anger, it just makes things worse. Okay. So that's what I wanted to share with you all this evening. So I hope my testimony of the things and how my husband and I recovered from our situation and how speaking life saved our marriage, the things that we had to implement, taking a break, prayed and reconnect, not making decisions when we're angry, making sure that we're not having that lack of communication. That also is destructive communication. And remembering James 1:19. If you remember that verse and you put that verse in the forefront of your communication, how you connect with people, not even beyond your romantic relationships, just your relationships in general. If you take that verse to heart, then you will definitely, um, have a better relationship. So let me just pull that verse back up again, just to remind you all. It says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger." Remember that. Remember that in your romantic relationships. Remember that even in your friend relationships, just how you communicate in general. But tonight we're talking about romantic relationships and how we communicate with our significant others. We must have clear, concise, and edifying, uplifting communication with our significant others. We get beat up enough in the world with jobs and everything else that we have going on. You don't want to come home and your significant other is beating up on you as well and speaking down to you and not speaking life to you. That is definitely not what you want to do. And you want to be that spouse that is going to edify your significant other, even if they're not doing it for you. Set the example. I guarantee you, if you start speaking life, if you start taking that break and praying and then coming back and reconnecting, they'll notice. They'll notice a change in your demeanor. They'll notice a change in your communication style. And then they'll want to fall in line and do the same thing. And then you all will have a wonderful and a blessed relationship. Um, I see Mike. Oh, Mike hopped on, just got on. Oh, thank you, Mike. Yeah, go back and watch the replay because I'm about to wrap up. Millie said this was a good conversation. Thank you for sharing. Oh, you're most welcome, Millie. And Mike says, real talk. We. And Monica says, be each other's peace. That's right. I love that, Monica. That is so true. We must be each other's peace. All right. But thank you all so much for tuning in this evening. Thank you, all of my listeners, Pop Gospel Speaks Radio, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Wherever you are listening and watching this show, I truly appreciate you all for tuning in. If you are on my social media, there's a link in the description where you can actually connect with me. You can get your Speak Life checklist and you can join the Sherry Speaks Life community where I share inspirational messages and I send them straight to your inbox every week. You can also, if you're not on the social media to see that link, you can just go to my website, sherryspeakslife.com. And at the bottom, you will see where you can sign up to get that checklist and to join the community. And I will see you all on next Monday for another Speak Life Moment show. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me in Love Month as we talked about all of the different types of love and how to speak life with love. You all be blessed. Take care. And I'm going to sign off with Pop Gospel Speaks Radio first. Thank you so much for tuning in, listeners. Take care. All right, y'all, hold on. I got to do it in stages. I'm going to sign off on Instagram. Oh, I see on Instagram, I'm branded with purpose. Tanisha hopped on. Oh, there's no volume, Tanisha. I'm so sorry. Okay. Well, I'm off now, so I don't know what happened with the volume. But take care and be blessed. Okay, I don't know, y'all. My Instagram didn't have my volume. I believe you all heard me well. Evangelist Tablet says she'll catch the replay. Yes, catch the replay as I'm wrapping up now. But thank you all so much for tuning in, Facebook. Be blessed. Please make sure that you share this broadcast. As I always say, sharing is caring. Share it with your communities or with anyone that could benefit from this conversation as we talked about speaking life with romantic love and any of the previous messages that we did this month, talking about love and speaking life in love. But you all be blessed, and I will see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another Speak Life Moment show. Love y'all. Bye-bye.